Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 16th. Well, we've got more of the same. We came to the 76% yesterday and bounced it back a little bit and then finished up towards the highs. Already pre-market is seeing some of that fill back. We're still looking at relatively positive readings from the NBI. Even when we had the little white spike here, we knew there might be some softness in it, but the magenta was still above yellow. So everything was clean from that standpoint. What's interesting to me is seeing that rejection here on the DOC to start the pre-market, at least, with a rejection of the midterm buyers to the shorts and the potential of the orange turning up. It's a little early for that to be a negative, but it just means that we're probably going to get, again, more of that in between range going through because we still have the positive reading from the NBI. But shakeout, horrible. It's exceedingly weak, but it is completely reset. It's not going to take much to turn it around, but you've got to have some kind of impetus. And what we've been noticing is that the NASDAQ, while still making new highs, has been that impetus. It's been pushing little by little, but it's enough to overweight any of the drawdown that we're seeing within the broader S&P. So that's been the bright light. But again, also pretty modest shakeout. I mean, it's not a strong build like you want to see from a histogram continuing. So it's precarious. It wouldn't take much to fill back all of these moves in a single day. I mean, it's that tiny range-based move. So, and there's a lot of headwinds. Of course, you get the growing debt crisis situation. Uh, they're running out of days, and of course, they're going to wait to the last minute. They always do. The question is whether or not the accounting was correct and whether Yellen has the date when they have to start cutting back things correct or not. And they're going to fudge that anyway. So it is what it is. From a Treasury standpoint, starting to do what is expected, which is the move down towards that 0%, simply because rates aren't going down. And the speculation that the market had for so long that the Fed was forced to ease just was a fallacy of thinking, a wish. They just expected that because things had been that way for so many years that it would continue to do it. Now, we do have some backside liquidity that they're providing to banks, but that's not showing up from a rate standpoint. It's being done quietly, so to speak, without it really being all that quiet for anyone who pays attention. But notably, uh, it just impacts borrowers on the front side of things. From an oil standpoint, this becomes critical because any spike in oil would really derail things quickly. And keeping it at, in the 70, low 70 range, and it really needs to get further down into that 60s to help offset those extra costs in borrowing in order to motivate the economy and things. Euro baiting its slide at this particular stage. Got that DOC orange here fading quickly and short term lift off, and that's just because we're right in that range and they want to keep it looking good. Eurozone still nothing positive happening there. So, from a gold standpoint, it's just going to take just a small situation to really cause it to continue to spike higher. It's been in a little bit of weakness trend right now, but it's actually held up quite well considering the spike of NBI white should drive it down to the 50% range, but it's been doing pretty decent so far. We're still a bit in this DOC spread, but you're getting your reset here, and a pivot higher here of red would be a P2 higher pivot, and that would be your next little leg up. Should have changed, hasn't yet, but we'll see in time. From a Bitcoin standpoint, again, these are just, it's sort of like the market. Everyone's sort of trying to feel out where things are going to go because it is quite a bit an unprecedented time as to where things are. And of course, like we've talked about, the confidence issue with the cryptos and then trying to get it to where there's a stability that what is going to happen. You're going to have access to your resources and not continue to having these displacements where things get interrupted and question will be, will that get all resolved before the US and or sovereigns decide to come up with their own digital currency? That remains to be seen. We'll see. From an ETH standpoint, same situation. At its 50%, magenta moving back, that should be enough to keep it above that. And they just hold on until they have the next move. So we can see from what we've been talking about in the 50K, this ongoing lower highs and congestion. We needed to see this move break out above. It's poised to do so. So it just has to do it. Otherwise, you're getting more and more pressure to push things to the downside. You even have dip below the red line here from a 50K standpoint. So if that doesn't break below the 50% today, I would expect that we're going to move two new highs above that 4168 plus range. And actually, if we turn to our uh, 5 minute chart, unfortunately, still have issues with the 5Ks. We had this range that had developed to the 41, 55 to 47 range. And there was some before. I mean, it went all the way back down to 37. Actually, I can go ahead and draw a line for us while we're here. Just plop that in. Even goes all the way to a little bit lower if you want to get the main thrust of it. And we started spiking above it, came back down below it. That generated, of course, additional buy opportunities. And then what? We come right back up within the same ranges. You can see those support lines, they develop pretty consistently. And that's just because they're algorithm based. And once we moved to that peak, we just sort of flattened out in between. Here we are in the pre market, which is ridiculously long for not a whole lot of action. But you can see we've popped up just above that upside range of it. And that's currently providing the current support. And given what we're seeing from the daily reading and also from a 50K, we would expect that to continue. So that is the current read of things. As always, though, could you join me on the Skype chat? I'll put up anything relevant. Trade well.